So let's look at this from the college perspective. What do you think the main takeaways are from the college perspective? I think Kip 2 obviously benefits from being in a pro race here because he doesn't need to do all the leading, and then you have the strength of NAU, um, Nur Bosley or Nur Young Bosley Kusha obviously ran ridiculously quick and looked to be. Yeah, we haven't had the Tyler Day 2020 performance yet, but it's also only December, so there's plenty still to come from a college perspective. What did you think was the biggest takeaway?
Well, I want to kind of highlight something about it. So I sent to Travis a link to the 2014 Hoosier Open 5K. So I've been around for a while, and we've had these like early season races. There was a race where an NAU athlete, his name was Brian Schrader. I think he was in his 5th year. He ran 13:40 in a 5K in Indiana in December. And people were like, whoa, Brian Schrader, 13:40. This is quick. You know what happened right after he ran that 13:40? He went pro because he ran 13:40. That mark was you see, and he also was like 13:58, 14:02, 14:05. His
Yeah.
13:40 was enough to get a pro contract with Saucony because of, I believe it was Saucony, because he was like, wow, guy in college running 13:40, that's insane. Now this is all the way back in 2014, not that long ago. We're
Hmm.
talking 6 years ago, and now someone running 13:40 in the year of 2021,
Yeah.
they're like not even in like qualifying for nationals. And I think that just shows there's been a major shift in the 5K and in most distance events from over the past 5 years, where we're just at a new level where we are now normalizing 13:30s. We're now normalizing, if you're a top 5 in a nation, you're a 13:20 guy. And you
Yeah.
see someone like
Yeah.
Nico Young, he smashed the U220 record by like 25 seconds. It was Chris Derrick 13:48. Like,
Mhm.
normally we break records, you break it by a few seconds or so because like, hey, but like breaking something by that much in one swoop
Mhm.
is just like we're in a new world. And these times
Mhm.
are kind of like we got to recalibrate what these times mean, because was Brian Schrader that bad, or were we that
No.
stupid to think that 13:40 was great? Like, what's going
Well,
on here?
I think. I mean, I don't know the details of Schrader's contract or what was going on. You have a much longer memory for that stuff than
But
I
you know what
do,
I mean.
but I'm guessing a lot of that was on potential too. Hey, 13:40 in December. Well, then that means he's going to run whatever if he was, fully peaked, right? I think we have in a little bit of just like this grouping effect, and the pace gets going, right? And you have everybody out there working in tandem. They're in great shape after cross country, and the times are dropping. I mean, to be honest with you, when I saw Kiptu's time, I was not surprised at all. I thought he'd have a shot at the collegiate record. Like I mean, if he broke Lowry's 13:08, would you have been surprised? I mean, Lowry's a
Oh
special
no.
runner, but I wouldn't have, just because how things have been going with the breaking of the record just over and over and over. And this was a perfect race for Kiptu to do it. Now maybe he should be sharper come the new year, but to have rabbits out there pacing as well as they did, and to have pros running as solidly as they did, I think was a ideal setup for him. But the depth is just unreal, and you're getting more and more people committing to the same race, and then you have just this power of the masses here. So, what does this tell us about NAU? Do you think, in terms of their shot at racking up a ton of points indoors? Because yeah, it's impressive. But if you're saying, hey, everybody's kind of joining the party, we got to be ready for other schools to jump in and have some fast times too.
I've already started thinking about that type of stuff. There are only a few others who could probably get into 13:20s. There's Morgan Beetlescomb. There's Ian Shanklin, who's hurt. Um, Eduardo Herrera didn't run well here, but he's a 13:20 type guy. So there are a few others.
Yeah.
Dylan Jacobs, I believe, of Notre Dame. But based on what we're seeing here, I think it's safe to say that NAU could put 2 in the top 4 and 3 in the top 8. So I think Nur and Young are good enough to finish like 3rd, 4th. I
Yeah.
think Thanos Kyoko and Kip 2 are going to be the kind of the 1-2s now that there's no count on Mance.
Right.
So I think they could go 3, 4, and then maybe like 6 or 7 with Bosley. I don't think Kusha is going to run the 5K. I think he'll end up
Right.
being a mile DMR guy. Um, but you look at that and the absolute 3K. I don't think there's any other new person except for maybe a year Nagoose. Is
Mhm.
Nagoose even going to be in college? I don't know. This guy, we saw Cupertino go pro. We saw Connor Mance go pro. You'd think Nagoose would be able to parlay his making the Olympics to go pro, but maybe he wants to come
Mhm.
back to do another DMR party. We don't know about that. Uh, but NAU has the ability to score 3 to 4 in a 5. They could score individuals, not points. 3 to 4
Yeah.
people finish top 8. I think they could get 2 to 3 top 8 in the 3K, and I think they could get 2 top 8 in the mile. Notably, they could maybe win the mile with George Kusha because I saw Charlie Hunter is not coming back. He's one of the top guys, and
Yeah.
the mile is always weird. Some people go all in on the DMR. So I looked at it, and I know we were big on this in 2020, right before the pandemic. But I think
Mhm.
NAU could score 30 to 40 points, like 30 on a 25 on a bad day, 30 on a good day, and 40 on a great day. And if you're in that range, you're in podium contention.
They're well positioned. There's a lot of people who've gone pro
Yeah.
recent that could have displaced it. You talked about the 5K being the deepest it's ever been last year, and I think to go back to your larger question of like what's happening. This is a new era. I think this is just an extension of what we saw indoors a bit last year, but indoors last year was kind of screwed up because cross country was at the same time. We really saw it outdoors. I mean, you saw it indoors with the Oregon guys, right? And then outdoors, you saw it with everybody. I think this is just sort of a 2 year acceleration in time. And maybe not everybody got their big PR last year because their schedule was screwed up or they weren't able to get to this meet or that meet or the fields were not as deep as they should have been. So I think this is a continuation of what we're seeing. I do anticipate it will level off after this season, but for the time being, it's going to get fast. Speaking of fast, I also want to talk about the women's 3,000. I really thought this was an exciting race. You had some superstars from the NCAA scene, Kaylee McCabe getting the win out there. Caitlin Tui had this big move late in the race, made a bid for it. It was very exciting. But all totaled, you had 5 women 854 or faster. Now, granted, 3 of them are still NCAA eligible. Anna Camp Bennett